Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. Today I am in London, just outside the Gillian Lynne Theatre, formerly known as the New London Theatre, and I'm about to go in and watch Cinderella. Cinderella is an Andrew Lloyd Webber show starring Carrie Hope Fletcher in the title role, as well as Victoria Hamilton Barrett, Rebecca Trehan, and just a great cast all round. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I actually had tickets to see this a while ago and then it had to close, I think, because of the pandemic for a few weeks, and it's just reopened again. So yeah, let's go and find out what it's like. This is the outside of the theatre with the lovely Cinderella logo, and you can see the queue of people waiting to go in. The current time is about 2:45. The show starts at 3. This is a matinee performance on a Sunday afternoon. And from what I've heard, they've been really good at asking people to wear their masks as well. As I was filming earlier, I heard people in the background, I guess members of staff, asking everyone to have their masks on and their tickets ready before entering the theatre. So that's always a bonus. So I've just come into the theatre, the Gillian Lynne Theatre. It's really cool calling it that, actually. Gillian Lynne was a famous ballerina, in case you weren't aware. Last time I was here, it was back when it was called the New London Theatre still, and I think I saw School of Rock. So it has been a few years. I think it might have been 2017. So yeah, I don't really visit this theatre very often, to be honest. So I think it's a good theatre though to host Cinderella. It's very modern looking compared to some of the other theatres in the West End, and I can see the merchandise stand behind me as well, which I'm probably going to show it to you maybe in the interval after the show, because the show is starting in about 10 minutes or so right now. So I need to go to door 1. I've got a ticket in the stalls, which I'm very excited about. Apparently something's meant to happen as well. On my ticket it said this ticket gives you something special. Who knows what it is, who knows what it means. I'm looking forward to it either way, so let's go in. Now, I'm not very familiar with this theatre because, as I said, I don't visit it often, and it has been a few years since I was last here, so I have no idea where door 1 is. So we're gonna try and find it together. This is a quick glimpse at the merch stand before I show it to you properly later on. But yeah, I don't know where door 1 is. I might have to ask somebody. I found the door number 1, stalls. It's weird because you have to actually go up the stairs quite a few levels to get to the stalls level, which is normally obviously the bottom floor. Oh wow, this looks stunning. This looks incredible, the sets just from what I've seen. Wow, amazing. So I'm in my seat. I've got an aisle seat, which is lovely, of course. The show is meant to start in the next 5 minutes. I don't know if it will or not. There seem to be quite a lot of people still in the foyer area, so we'll have to wait and see. But my view is stunning, so I'll show it to you now. This is my view from row G. 33 is the number of my seat, and I just love how colourful the set looks just even before the show. So yeah, I'm gonna go now and speak to you in the interval, so bye for now. So it is the interval. As you probably can tell, we've got the red curtain behind me as well. The show is good. I have very different thoughts about the show, which I will obviously get to when I get back home later on. But I'm enjoying it. We do have an understudy on for the role of Cinderella, so Carrie Hope Fletcher actually isn't on. I'm not sure if it's a matinee thing. I'm not sure if she just never does Sunday shows. I didn't particularly care for seeing her specifically, so I don't mind. In fact, our understudy, I'm going to have to get her name later on, but she is very good, really good in the role, so I'm not complaining at all. But Victoria Hamilton Barrett, she's by far the highlight of this show. She is phenomenal. I can't even. Let's go have a look at the merchandise. Coming up from the door that I went in, door 1, you've got these staircases here, and then the main merch area is just down below. It doesn't look too busy either, so hopefully I should be able to go and have a closer look in a second. But there is a bit of a queue. All I want, I think, is a program. I haven't fallen in love with the show, so I think a program should be okay, but there does seem to be some other things as well, like t-shirts and mugs and all the usual stuff, so we'll go and have a look. So, as we can see over there, there's some t-shirts. 3 different kinds of t-shirts actually. One just says Cinderella, one is Bad Cinderella, one I've a style all my own. Let's zoom in so you can see it a bit closer. They look pretty cool. There's a teddy bear, it looks like, as well. And oh, they've got even more t-shirts on this side. That blue one's cute. I like the colour of it. And even some hoodies you can see over there. Some hoodies, some socks. You've got the mugs as well. And sorry if I'm not going closer. Like I said, I'm not interested in buying anything, and I don't want to disturb the long queue that we've got here. But yeah, it seems to be all the standard stuff, like I said, tote bag, mugs, and crisps as well, which obviously isn't merch. Oh, they're even selling a mask. There you go, next to the t-shirt over there. you can see a face mask with the Cinderella logo. So that's fun, very 2021. Speaking of masks, I have to say, a lot of people were wearing their masks in the theatre and the auditorium this time round, compared to Frozen especially that I saw the other night. I was impressed at the amount of people they had their masks on throughout the show. Again, not everyone by any means, but more people than Frozen. I would say at least 60-70% of the crowd had their masks on, which is a big change compared to Frozen, which only had about 10% of the people wearing them. So that's always a bonus as well, as I said. This is the cast list for this afternoon's performance. So we've got Georgina as Cinderella. And she is fantastic. She really, really is. Of course, Victoria Hamilton Barrett. We've just gone to a photo of, I believe, Rebecca Trehearn, who is also very good. But yeah, that's the rest of the cast. If you're wondering, the ensemble, everyone who's on today. There you go. They've got it all here. And then some more photos of some of the cast members. There you go. This is our Cinderella for this afternoon. Georgina Oruello, I believe. There you go, Georgina Onuora. Sorry if I mispronounced her surname. So yeah, that's her. Right, I've come back into the auditorium for the second half of the show. Gonna go back to my seat in a second and I'll speak to you afterwards. Sure how much of any of my words you heard beforehand because of the music, but yeah, the show has finished. I'm just waiting for the crowds to leave because there seems to be a lot of like just congestion at the doors, at the two doors to leave the auditorium, but I really enjoyed it. I think I preferred Act 2 to Act 1, you know. It's quite a long show as well. I think, let me just check. So it's about 10 minutes to 6 o'clock right now. So the show altogether was close to about 3 hours long, which is long. It's like on the longer side of musicals, but I enjoyed it. I'm gonna speak to you later, obviously, when I get home. There was a lot going on in Act 2. I have a lot of thoughts just generally on this show. I'm just really glad I got to see the alternate. I think she's an alternate, not an understudy, Georgina. So yeah, it feels like an honor actually to have seen her show. I think it might be her first show, you know. I'm gonna have to check later. But yeah, really enjoyed it overall. Before I leave the theatre, I thought I'd show you this as well, so you can scan this on your phones and see all the merchandise available, and obviously with a better, closer look as well. I'm about to buy myself a program, so I had to queue anyway. The queue is a lot shorter than it was before, and these are some of the prices. And these are the magnets. The magnets look cool actually in closer look, and that little keychain. That's cute. Just got my little program and brochure as well. It's two separate things. I wanted both of them. It was £14 altogether, and it comes in this little lovely paper bag. They also have hand sanitizers by the shop, which is always a good thing. And also, I had a lovely chat actually, a conversation with the staff member who I bought this program from about Georgina. I wanted to make sure if it was definitely her first show or not, and he confirmed that it was indeed Georgina's first show as Cinderella. And it's really sad actually, because a few people before me I heard were like complaining about the fact that it wasn't Carrie and like a bit annoyed about that. And whilst I understand being disappointed, I just feel like I think the staff member that I was talking to said it very well. It was like, I think people forget that like Georgina trained just as hard as Carrie, and she's just as capable as Carrie, and I agree. I mean, I've seen Carrie Hope Fletcher in other shows before, but yeah, it was a joy to watch somebody make her debut, I guess, in such a big show, an Angela Weber show. So I'm going to talk about all of this later. Let's leave the theatre, and I'll see you there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this might be the only theatre in the West End that actually has escalators. I don't know. Right, I have just left the Gillian Lynne Theatre, formerly known as the New London Theatre, and I thought I'd show you some of the posters they've got outside of it as well. So obviously 3 p.m. show this afternoon was where I was. This is Carrie Hope Fletcher, who obviously is the main Cinderella here. They've got this big poster here as well. We've got Victoria Hamilton Barrett, who, like, Lord have mercy, she is just phenomenal. I love her so much, and she is just so good as a stepmother here. So that's her. And then we've got some of the other characters. Oh, look at her. Oh, she's great. She is great. We've got Carrie. I want to see if there's any photos of Georgina. Oh yeah, there is. Okay, perfect. We're going to get to her in a second. That's Rebecca Trehearn. Says over here as well as the Queen. We've got Prince Sebastian, played by Ivano Turco, I want to say. So that's that. I love that they've got all their photos here. She was really good as well, actually. The godmother, Gloria Onitiri. And then Caleb Roberts was Prince Charming. So that was interesting. And then this was our Cinderella for the day. The alternate Cinderella, it does say over there, Georgina Onuora. And I am just genuinely feeling happy and honoured to have been at her first show. Pretty sure there's a bunch of people waiting at the stage door behind me. I'm not sure. I don't even know if people come out the stage door and meet fans these days. I haven't been to a stage door in a long time. But I thought I'd do one final moment by the Gillian Lynne Theatre. By the way, from what I've seen in the past couple of minutes, cast performers have come out and said hi to fans who have waited at the stage door. So maybe they do stage door. Like I said, not something that I've done or been interested in for a long time. But I would have thought because of COVID, maybe they wouldn't. Who knows? Anyway, this is the Gillian Lynne Theatre. It's quite windy in London. It's like 6 o'clock. I am obviously going to speak about the show a bit more to you once I get home, but I enjoyed it overall. Like, it was a nice way to spend the afternoon. I don't know, I have many thoughts, so wait for them when I get home. See you then. So, it's the next day. I've had about 24 hours to think about the show and gather my thoughts. And I thought I'd talk a little bit more about it because, as I mentioned in the vlog earlier, I had mixed feelings towards it. I enjoyed myself, like it was a good time, you know, like I didn't have a bad time watching the show, but I didn't fall in love with it either. I didn't love the show. There were parts of it that I liked, but then there were parts of it that I was just like, why? Like, what is going on? So it's very much an up and down show for me, which is why it's difficult for me to even explain my thoughts on it because, like I said, at times I really liked it and at other times I just didn't. So basically, if you didn't know, this is a new take on the classic Cinderella story. This is not the Disney Cinderella at all. This isn't a Disney musical either. So don't be fooled just because it's called Cinderella. This isn't Disney. It's Andrew Lloyd Webber. He's written the score for it, and then Emerald Fennell is the original story and book. And then the lyrics were by David Zippel. So like I said, a very new take on the story. And for me, I think the story was definitely actually part of the problem. It was just weird at times, and I don't mind weird. I normally like, I'm a weird person myself. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I'm weird, but parts of the story just, to me, didn't really make sense. It seemed a bit out of the blue, some of the plot situations that went on, and I really do think that overall the main problem with this musical is actually the book. I'm sorry to say, but yeah, the script at times just felt so bizarre to me, and yeah, just didn't make sense at times. And the lyrics as well, I wasn't the biggest fan of the lyrics either, personally. At times I liked it, but for the most part I was like, what is going on? Like, why are you rhyming this with this? It just does not make sense. The music was good. I'm a big Andrew Lloyd Webber fan anyway. I love his scores. Basically every musical he's done, more or less, I've enjoyed the music for it, and you can expect the same kind of style from this show as well. If you know Andrew Lloyd Webber's work, you know Phantom of the Opera, Joseph, Cats, he's done so many things. He loves these big dramatical grand openings and endings to musical numbers, and I am a big fan of that as well personally. So yeah, the music sounded nice. It's not my favorite Andrew Lloyd Webber score by any means, but it was nice overall and very memorable as well. Like, some of the songs, even a day after, I'm still humming them in my mind. So that's definitely a talent of Andrew Lloyd Webber. rubber in my opinion. But yeah, the script itself, the book of the show, just didn't really work for me personally. In many ways, I like what they've done with Cinderella. I think it's cool that she's this modern version of Cinderella, that she doesn't have to be saved. I think that's awesome. I love Cinderella's character generally as well. I thought they did a good job with her. It's just the journey that she went on and how she got to the end that was a little bit confusing for me. Anyway, I think that's the best way I can describe it. I didn't hate the show at all. I also just didn't love it. It was very much okay for me. Now let's talk about the cast, because it does have a great cast. Like, I can't fault the cast at all. It's a fantastic cast, and even though Carrie Hope Fletcher was off, as I mentioned before, I wasn't going to the show specifically to see Carrie Fletcher. I might go and see the show again at some point eventually, because I'm curious to see Carrie's take on it as well, you know. I thought Georgina did such an amazing job, and it's so interesting because I actually went on her Instagram after the show, and it was indeed her very first show, and I think it was a last minute decision as well. Apparently Carrie's not been feeling well, she's got a cold or something, so yeah, Georgina had to kind of go on quite last minute, and she did an incredible job. Like, I genuinely felt honoured to have been there for her first show, and you couldn't really tell that it was her first time doing this role. She was very confident in the role. It was very easy to watch her as well. If I hadn't known, I wouldn't have realised at all. Like, I didn't know. In fact, until about the interval time when I kind of checked on my phone, I thought she'd done it a few times before. Like, that's how good she was. And she's got a beautiful voice, and very good acting as well, and she was funny at times. So yeah, very good performer, and if you go and see the show and you see her instead of Carrie Hope Fletcher, you really won't be disappointed. I believe she's actually put a little thing on her Instagram that says that I think from the 1st of September, which is tomorrow, she'll be doing, I think maybe every Monday or every Wednesday. You're gonna have to check it on her Instagram because it might change, but I think she does have at least one show every week that she does instead of Carrie. That's why she's an alternate and not an understudy. And yeah, whilst we're on the topic of her Instagram, let me just put this photo up as well that she put on her Instagram yesterday after the show. It's just very lovely. I think it's just nice to see her be so happy about it, and she should be proud because she really did do a fantastic job. From singing Cinderella's character on stage and kind of the songs that she sings and just her personality on stage, I can definitely see Carrie in this role as well. I've seen Carrie in multiple different shows in the previous years. I think I first saw her in must have been Les Mis, and she's still to this day my favourite Eponine, so it would be nice to see Carrie as well. I think I can definitely imagine her doing it too. But as I said, Georgina Onuora, great alternate, and it was really cute as well because at the end of the show all the cast seemed so happy for her, and the guy playing the prince, I don't know his name at the moment, but like he really made sure to get Georgina to have the final bow and do one on her own as well. Unfortunately I didn't manage to film it properly, but I got the end of it when she was running off stage. But yeah, it was very sweet to see that she had all the support from her cast members as well. Right, let's get to the rest of the cast. So Rebecca Treherne plays the part of the Queen. I've seen Rebecca Treherne in quite a few shows as well, and she was good in this role. I think she, you know, she has the comic timing well. She's got a phenomenal voice, but she doesn't really get to showcase it too much in this particular role. But yeah, she was good. Like, I enjoyed her for sure. Then we've got Victoria Hamilton Barrett as a stepmother, and I have mentioned her before in this video. She was personally for me the highlight. Like, I think if she wasn't in the show, I wouldn't have enjoyed the show as much, and I probably would have given it a maybe lower star rating, because as it stands, I think this is a 3.5 star show out of 5. But yeah, so let me just show you their little bios as well. So this is Victoria Hamilton Barrett, who played the stepmother, and this is Rebecca Treherne. Victoria Hamilton Barrett, I first saw her years and years ago. I think it must be over a decade ago that I first saw her in Flashdance, and I remember that show so well. And even though Flashdance wasn't a show that I loved, I think it was in the Shaftesbury Theatre, but yeah, that's the first time I saw Victoria, and she was the highlight for me in that show as well. She played the role of Alex in Flashdance, and I was never the biggest fan of the actual musical of Flashdance, but she again in that show made me enjoy the show, and I actually went to see it a couple of times, I remember. But I've seen her in multiple shows over the years. I think A Chorus Line is definitely another one that she was a big highlight in The Heights she's done. She was amazing in that. So yeah, she really is a phenomenal performer, and I just loved her in this. Like, her mannerism, she really just like turns into a different character. She was hilarious. The audience absolutely loved her. I really want her to get an Olivia nomination or an award or something for this character because she deserves it. She was a highlight without a doubt. Then we've got Ivano, I believe that's how you say it, Ivano or Ivano Turco, who I think is making his debut in this West End production, and he played the role of Prince Sebastian, and this is him. and I really enjoyed him as well. He's got an amazing voice, a lovely voice. He's a great actor too, but also, Lord have mercy, he's an incredible dancer. Like, I don't want to give too much away, but at one point in the show, and I was really surprised, I just didn't expect him to do this, he had this little dance moment and it was just insane. And I think since I've seen the show now, I've read a bit more about him, and apparently he initially actually auditioned to be just like a dancer in the show, and they liked him so much that they asked him to audition for a main part, for the part of Prince Sebastian, and obviously he got it. And I'm just so glad that this show has given the chance for some newcomers to make their debuts into the West End, and not just as like ensemble members either, even though that's also amazing, but actually have like main roles. I think that's amazing, and yeah, he was really, really good. Then we've got the stepsisters, who are played by Georgina Castle and Laura Baldwin, both of whom I've seen before in other shows as well. I think Georgina Castle I first saw in Mamma Mia a few years ago. She's also done 9 to 5, which I also saw, and Laura Baldwin I think I must have last seen in Waitress. So this is them. On the bottom, I hope you can see them, and both of them were really, really good. They had great chemistry between them. Their scenes were really funny. Georgina Castle in particular for me was a highlight, but I think that's just because of her role. Like Marie, there's more to that character than the other sister Adele, but yeah, they were both really, really fun and I enjoyed them. Then on the other page we've got some more interesting characters. So Gloria Ornitiri played the godmother, and that's her. And Lord have mercy, like I just don't know what I expected from the role of the godmother, but this new version of the fairy godmother is very different to any godmother that you would have seen in any Cinderella production or any Cinderella film. She just had a lot more attitude. She wasn't the kind of kind elderly lady fairy godmother that you expect, but I really liked it actually, and Gloria's got an amazing voice, and again I thought she just, yeah, the character worked quite well. It was weird initially, I was like taken aback by the characterization of this role, but yeah, I liked it overall. I did think it was quite fun actually. Then we've got Caleb Roberts, who plays the role of Prince Charming, and you actually don't get to see him until kind of the end of the show. Again, I don't want to give too much away, but he had a great voice, and Lord have mercy, where I was sat, I'm not gonna again give too much away, but I jumped in my seat because he kind of came from behind me and I did not expect it, and there was this like, you know, moment of like noise and loudness and kind of you know, him talking quite loudly, and I was just like, ah, but it was funny. It was a great surprise. And then we've got of course Georgina Onuora here, who was our Cinderella. I've already spoken about her. The main page, the other side, has Carrie, who also plays Cinderella. But yeah, these were kind of the main cast members. The ensemble was also very good. Unfortunately, again, I don't have the time in this video to talk about all of them, but they're all very good, so I'm just going to show them to you. Yeah, very, very strong ensemble cast here. Really enjoyed them, and they do have quite a lot of scenes as well, like dance scenes especially, which I enjoy. Speaking of dance scenes, and this might be a little bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want to listen to this, if you don't want to know anything about the show, I suggest maybe you skip forward a couple of minutes. Act 2 starts with a ballroom scene, and my ticket, as I mentioned earlier in the vlog, so I was in row, I think G33 it was in the stalls, in the first kind of few rows of the stalls, in the front section of it. And on my ticket, let me just find it, on my ticket it actually said, your ticket to the ball, in this seat you will be moved in more ways than one. And I was very intrigued by it, like, what does this mean, moved in more ways than one? And lo and behold, at the start of Act 2, our seats, like in the stall section, literally started moving. Like, what? It was amazing. I just did not expect it at all, and I'm so glad that I didn't know about it, because it was a nice surprise for me, because in Act 1 nothing happened. I didn't move in more ways than one. But yeah, in Act 2, because there's a revolve on the stage, I don't think I mentioned this either, there's a revolve on the stage which works quite well actually. So in the second act you kind of move along, like the first few rows of the stalls move around with the revolve on stage, to the point where at one point we literally were on stage, and then the theatre became kind of like an in the round experience, and the stage was in the middle and everybody, like the audience, was around it. That was so cool. I loved it. Like, I'm so glad that I was able to buy a ticket in the stalls for this performance, because it was an amazing experience. I think it did definitely add to it, to kind of see everything from a different angle. And I think this lasted for about 10-15 minutes of the show, basically the first scene of the second act, which was a kind of quite a long ballroom scene. It was really, really cool, and I'd be curious to maybe kind of get a seat seat somewhere else the next time I go so I can see what it looks like from the other side, you know, because I was practically on stage, and every other row in the beginning of the first few rows of the stalls was also on stage for a few minutes. I'm not really sure if I'm explaining it very well, but if you're willing to pay a bit more for a stalls ticket in the first few rows, I think it might be worth it, at least if it's like a special occasion and you want to kind of really treat yourself. Some people might say it's a gimmick, but for me it definitely made it more exciting. It made me enjoy Act 2 more than Act 1 actually, which is very rare for me. Normally when I see musicals I tend to prefer Act 1, and somehow with Cinderella I think Act 2 was just a lot better because it was full of surprises, and actually the way it kind of ends as well. I didn't know how it was going to end, and I'm not going to actually mention it here either just in case, but I liked how they ended it. Even though it was a bit bizarre and how we got to the end was quite weird, the ending was good. I liked how they did it. Right, I think that's all I have to say. I've probably forgotten so many things, but I feel like I've also been rambling for a long time. So yeah, the set was great. Like I said, there is a revolve, and I enjoyed that. I think it worked well. The costumes were beautiful. I particularly loved Victoria Hamilton Barrett's costumes as the stepmother. I thought she had so many odd and bizarre and weird costumes that I was just drawn to her. Every time she was on stage I was just like, oh my god, that's so interesting. Like, just, and obviously just her acting as well, she was amazing. So yeah, I love the costumes overall. Cinderella herself with the Doc Martens and just kind of like the more alternative style of Cinderella I thought worked really well. I loved Prince Charming, I loved Prince Sebastian, everyone. I just like enjoyed their costumes, I really did. The show is quite long. It's close to 3 hours, and I think that's another thing I didn't like about the show. I feel like it could have definitely been condensed a bit more. At times it just felt a little bit repetitive. Like I feel like some of the ballads that Cinderella sings, or just some of the songs, just went on for a bit too long, and it felt like we've already heard this before, we don't need to hear it again. So that was definitely a minor problem that I had with the show as well. But let's move on from all this and show you the program and the brochure. As I said, I did get both of them. I think together they came to about £14. This is the program. And the program itself has enough information. I mean, programs normally are for all the information. So like the cast details, they have some interviews sometimes, all the biographies and everything. Yeah, everything you kind of would need in terms of information would be in the program. But I also wanted to get the brochure because, number one, it's just very nice. It's bigger, but also, oh, there you go, ALW Cinderella. Also, it has nice, stunning photos of the cast. So it kind of starts like this. Oh, there you go. We've got Carrie with the creative team, ALW, etc. We've got some photos here of the production. I'm probably not going to show you every single photo here, but yeah, if you want like a nice souvenir from the show, if you want to be able to remember everything, and just kind of, I really did, because I love the costumes so much, and I just thought it was a very pretty set, pretty design. Like visually the show was beautiful, it was stunning, like I can't fault it at all. So yeah, there you go. This is one of my favourite costumes that Victoria Hamilton Barrett wears. Like, how weird is that? This like half zip up thing. I was so confused by it initially, but also intrigued by it, and I think that's definitely a good thing. And look at her face. So yeah, the costumes, some of them were outrageous, but very, very cool. So yeah, I would say if you want something like this to remember the show by, the brochure might be worth purchasing. And yeah, that is basically it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry that I rambled too much. Would I recommend this show? Yes, I think I actually would. If you like big musical numbers, beautiful costumes, and you know, I'm up for seeing a bunch of great performers just sing very well and, you know, listen to great music, then yes, go and see this show. If you want to see an amazing story, an interesting plot, then maybe not so much. But I don't think most people go to see musicals for that reason anyway. I think most people just want an escapism, and this show definitely did give me an escapism for a few hours. Like I said, I love the costumes, I love the sets, I love the music, and whilst I wasn't the biggest fan of the plot, and there were definitely things I didn't enjoy about the lyrics of the songs, and I definitely saw quite a lot of faults in the show overall, it didn't really take away from my enjoyment of the show. And like I said, I came out of the show and I was like, yeah, I had a good time, so I would recommend it. It's not one of my favourite shows, and if I had to decide, for instance, between this and Frozen, I would probably go to Frozen, but this is also worth seeing. It's a different kind of musical, but it can appeal to the same kind of audience, you know, families, younger people especially I think would love it, like teenagers or young adults would really like this show, I think, especially if you're a big fan of Carrie Hope Fletcher. I'm sure she's amazing in the show. So yeah, if you go and see it with her, you'll love it. But even if you don't see her, and if you see an alternate Georgina or another understudy, I'm sure you'd also love it, because the show itself is just fun. Not amazing, but fun. Thank you so much for watching this video. Follow me on Instagram if you want to, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!